Hello everyone, and welcome all of you to Unacademy, a place where you can crack your toughest of examinations with top educators, quality content, and not to forget the great learning experience. Therefore, join us and let us together crack 9th and 10th examination with Unacademy's unlimited live and recorded courses from India's best educators. Before I proceed, let me introduce myself. I am Tasneem Ahmed and I have completed my Master's and MPhil in English. I have also been certified in TESOL and I have trained 1,000 plus students. I also have 8 years of professional teaching experience. Therefore, be rest assured you are in good hands. Well, let us move on to today's topic, and today's topic is the continuation of tenses. In our previous videos, we learned about simple present and also about present continuous and also about present perfect. And today's video is focused on present perfect continuous. Stay tuned, I'm going to be telling you the meaning, the definition of present perfect continuous and their usages. Before I proceed with the topic of the day, let me tell you what you will get at Unacademy. Well, Unacademy offers you daily live classes where you can chat with your educator, engage in discussions, ask your doubts, and answer polls, all while the classes are going on. Number 2, you have live tests and quizzes where you can evaluate your preparation with our regular mock tests and quizzes and get detailed analysis on your performance. Number 3, you have structured courses. All our courses are structured in line with your exam syllabus to help you best prepare. Number 4, and the most important one, is the unlimited access. That is, if you become the subscriber or if you subscribe to one of the subscriptions of Unacademy, you get the access to all our live and recorded courses to watch from the comfort of any of your devices, anytime you want and any grade you want. All you have to do is buy any one of the subscriptions and get the access to your free live classes and prepare with top educator, any educator that you want to prepare your classes with. And also get the comprehensive syllabus for mathematics, social science, Hindi, science, and of course English as well. You can also talk to us on Telegram application by downloading the Telegram application, typing the link in the URL, and then clicking on join. And then you will find all the educators and you can talk to them. The next step is to install the Unacademy Learning app on any one of your compatible devices. The final step after having installed the application is to buy any one of these subscriptions that Unacademy offers. While Unacademy offers you courses for 1 month, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, and 48 months. The advantage of taking these courses is that you get these offers on a maximum amount. You get these subscriptions, on a maximum amount of discount. That is, a course which is available for 6 months duration, it comes with a discount of 33%. And a course which is available for 12 months comes with a 50% discount. And the course for 24 months comes with a 58% of discount, and the 36 months course comes with 60% of discount, and the 48 months course comes with a 67% of discount. You can take a look at how much you will be paying for a month. As you go higher with the duration of the courses, the discount on your courses go higher as well. 33 goes up to 50, and then 50 to 58, and then 60, and then 68%. And your monthly payment reduces as you go higher with the duration. Well, along with this discount, you have additional 10% of discount when you proceed to pay and when you type the code TA01. Let us say you decide to buy the course which is available for 12 months duration, which is already on a discounted rate of 50%. That is on 15,000 rupees. And then while you proceed to pay, you type the code TA01 and after that you get additional 10% on the existing discount. That is 50 plus 60, you get, 50 plus 10, you get 60% of discount on this course. As opposed to 15,000, now you will be paying only 13,500 rupees for 12 long months. And for a month, you will only pay 1,125 rupees only, which means after having subscribed for this course for 1 whole year, be it if you're a 9th grader or a 10th or 11th or 12th grader, you get the access to all our live and recorded courses and to whichever the grade you prefer learning to. So do not wait and take the advantage of the available discount along with the extra 10% of discount that Unacademy offers for you. Do not forget the code TA01 when you proceed to pay. Now let us proceed towards learning tenses. Let us continue the process of learning tenses. We started tenses a little while ago. We started with I explained you everything about simple present, and then I explained you about present continuous, and then about present perfect. And today we are going to learn about present perfect continuous. But before I proceed, in case if you have forgotten what was taught previously, let me give you a little recap of it. What is tense? What is a tense? Tense is nothing but time. Time of what? Time of the action being done. Time of the action being done. Well, there are 3 timelines when the action happens. Or for example, let us say, what am I doing now? Right now, this is present and I'm teaching you tenses. What did I do previously? Before tenses, I taught you something else that is referred to as past. Past. What am I doing right now? This time is called as present. What will I be doing tomorrow or day after tomorrow or whatever the things that I'm going to be doing in future? It is referred to, that timeline is referred to as future. So we have 3 timelines. Past, well, past should have come here. Anyway, past, present, and future. We have 3 timelines. And these are the 3 timelines where these actions are done in. Well, these 3 timelines are further divided into 4 more, as in simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. These timelines are further divided into simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous, which means if we take past has simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. Similarly, present has simple present, present continuous, present perfect continuous, and future also has simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous, which means we get in total 12 types of tenses. 12 types of tenses or 12 different timelines. And I told you that I will be taking you through each and every individual timeline in every video. And I have already covered simple present, and I have also covered present continuous, and I have also covered present perfect. And today we will be learning about present perfect continuous. What did I say simple present is? When the action is simply mentioned without beginning, without telling us when the action started or when is it going to finish. There is no mention of the beginning of the action or the ending of the action, but it is simply mentioned in present. That is called as simple present. What is the meaning of present continuous? Present continuous is when the action started, but then it has not ended. It is in progress. It is still going on. We use ing forms in these tenses. Then we learned about present perfect, where the action is perfectly completed. Where the action is perfectly completed. And today we are going to learn about present perfect continuous. And the question is, what is present perfect continuous? What is the meaning of? If you take a look at the word, if you take a look at the word which is perfect and continuous. Yesterday, in our previous video, we learned about present perfect, which means that the action has been perfectly completed, right? And here you have the addition of continuous as well. Remember, we also learned about present continuous. What is the meaning of that tense? It means that we are the action that we are mentioning in present continuous means that the action is in continuation and has not ended, isn't it? Now here we have the combination of perfect and continuous both, which means that the verb in present continuous says that the action started in the past. It started way back in the past and it has come to present and is still going on and has not completed. It is still going on. Started in the past, way back in the past, where you have the connection with the past, and it has come to this position, this present situation, which means it's completely. It has been started in the past, come to present, but not completed. Not completed until this moment. Whatever hasn't has been perfectly completed. But this moment forward, it will still go on. It doesn't specify that it has ended like present perfect does. It doesn't say that it has been ended or it has stopped, but then it has completed. Started in the past, come to present, completed till this moment. But this moment forward also, it will continue further. That's what is the meaning of present perfect continuous is. The action starts way back in the past, has come to present, and also will continue in future. This present perfect continuous combines all the three timelines: past, present, and also future. So this is what we mean when we say present perfect continuous, where the actions are mentioned about past, present, and also says that the actions are still going on and as of now they haven't ended. What about the sentence structure of this? We are talking about perfect and continuous, right? Of course, present. Let's not forget present perfect continuous. So what is the sentence structure of this thing? We obviously will begin with subject. Soon after the subject, we will either take has or have, and we will introduce a be verb there, which is been, and then we will, to show the continuity of the action, we will use the ing main verb. Now, has and have speaks about the perfect completion, perfect tense over here. Been and ing shows the continuity of the action. So the sentence structure here is subject, has been or have been, and then the ing form, ing main verb. In a little while, I will tell you what an ing is and the different forms of the verbs. But first, let us take let us know what the types of different subjects that we have. Well, there are many number of subject types, which I have already explained it to you in my previous videos. But I'm going to explain you again in case if you do not remember them. Well, there are three types of subjects. Number one, we call it as first person. Number two, second person. Number three, third person. Third person subjects. So who is the first person? Let us take our scenario over here. That is me who is speaking and you who is listening. And let us say there are other people who are not present in this particular situation, but then they are outside. So when I'm speaking to you, I am the one speaking. Therefore, I become the first person. I become the first person. Who is listening to me? It is you. Therefore, you become the second person. Who is not here between us? Well, he or she, all those other people out there, right? Therefore, they become he she, or for animals and things, we say it. Now, these are pronouns. These are pronouns. What are pronouns? Pronouns are the words or the replacements of nouns. Instead of noun, we use pronouns. These are pronouns, and these are singular pronouns. The plural of I is we, you is you, and he, she, or it is they. The plural is they. These are first person pronouns and second person pronouns and third person pronouns. These are singular and these are plural. Plural pronouns. Now, if we decide to use subjects over here, that is nouns over here, in place of he, let us say we can use Ben, or we can also use Emily. Or if we are referring to a place, maybe we can mention it as a shop. Or we can also say the school. Or if we are referring to things, we can say a pen. Or we can also say a bag, depending upon what you are trying to say. All right. Now, to make these plural, you can say Ben and Emily. Now, here together they become plural. Subjects, of course, mentioning of these are plural nouns which act as our subjects. And the plural of a shop becomes the shops, the schools, and pens, and the bags. So you can use these in your plural, the mention of the noun. These are these are pronouns, singular pronouns and plural pronouns. These are singular nouns and these are plural nouns. So we can use any of these subjects. Remember, these I will be using, definitely I will be using in the examples that I'm going to be sharing with you. So these are the different types of subject types that we have. Let us now go to a verb. What is a verb? Well, verb is a word that denotes the action in a statement. Now we have two types of verbs. One being main verb and the second being be verbs, or let us simply say helping verbs. These are also called as auxiliaries. Helping verbs. Now, what are main verbs? Main verbs are verbs like talk, walk, keep, leave, smile, drink, run, swim, laugh, cry, etc., etc., etc. I cannot write all the verbs out over here that we have. So these types of verbs are called as main verbs. These are main verbs. Now we have something also called as be verbs or helping verbs or auxiliaries. Auxiliaries, which are like, number one, we have be verbs, which are is, are, am, was, were, will be, and you also have something called as have verbs, which are have, has, and had. And then you have do verbs like do, does, and did. And you have modals, which are like can, could, and shall, should, may, might, ought to, used to. All these are your models. And all these auxiliaries, be verbs, have verbs, do verbs, models, or helping verbs are used in a statement to connect the subject with the main verbs. That is why they are called as helping verbs, because they help the subject to connect with the main verb or other components of the statement to make sure that the statement is meaningful. These are the two types of verbs that we have. Moving on, the next is the 5 forms of verbs that we have. Well, the first one could be, let us take the example of talk, or let us take the example of keep. Then here, let us take drive, and let us take run and eat, or let us also take the example of cut. Now, these type of verbs are called as root or base form. These are called as root verbs, or they are called as base forms, because this is how a verb is born. Talk, keep, drive, run, eat, cut. Well, I definitely cannot give you all the verbs over here, but this should be enough for you to understand the forms. Next, what we do is we add plus s to the base form. That is, we add s and it becomes talks. Then we add s to the other one as well, and here as well, and runs, eats, and cuts. So this is how we turn the base form into the plus s form. The next form is the ing form, as in we add ing to the base form, that is talking and keeping, driving, running, eating, cutting. The next form is the past tense. We have the past tense of this verb, and the past tense of talk is talked, and keep is kept, drive is drove, run is ran, eat is ate, cut is cut. The last form is called as past participle. Now, the past participle of talk is talked, keep is kept, drove is driven, ran is run, eat is eaten, cut is cut. Well, now I have given you the examples of different types, different variations of verbs over here. Let us leave this aside and let us just focus on the past tense and the past participle and the root verb. Now, talk is the root verb. The past tense of talk is talked. All you did was add ed, and the past participle is also ed. What is a participle? Well, participle is when a verb functions like an adjective in a statement. When a verb functions like an adjective, we call it as a participle. There are two types of participles. Number one, the ing form, which is all these are your ing forms, and they are called as present participle. And the last form, which is the past participle. Let me write it over here. Past participle. So we have two types of participles, present and past participles. Now, when you take a look at the past tense and the past participle, there are two of these verbs which haven't changed their form at all. Talked and talked, kept and kept. They have remained same. They haven't changed their forms either in past tense or in past participle. They're same. But when you take a look at drive and run, the past tense is drove and the past participle is driven. The past tense is ran and the past participle is run. And here, ate and eaten. Now, these types of verbs have different type of past tense and past participles. Now, there are other types of verbs as well where the past tense and the past participle remains same. It doesn't change at all. Remains just like the root verb, unlike taught. Well, when the tense is like this, when the past tense and the past participle is same, you call those kind of verbs as regular verbs, And the ones which do not change, or when you have the same types all through, you call them as irregular verb forms. So these are the 5 forms which you must understand and which you must know in conjugating the subject and the verb in tenses. Now let us proceed towards the present perfect continuous. The present perfect continuous tense. And the sentence structure is subject, and then you have has or have been, or have been, and then the ing form. How can we write the examples? How can we structure the statements? What did I tell you the meaning of this tense is? When the action has started way back in time, has come to present, and has not ended as of now, it will go on in future as well for a considerable amount of time. That is what we refer to as present perfect continuous, or that's what the action that is mentioned in present perfect continuous says to us. Let me give you an example and then clarify and justify what I have explained. Supposing if I say, they have been sleeping since morning. When I say they have been sleeping since morning, what do I mean? Or supposing if I say, I have been teaching for 8 years. Or if I say, we have been waiting for an hour now. Or if I say, you have been thinking about it unnecessarily. So let us now take these examples and analyze and see if my explanation stands true. They have been sleeping since morning. They, subject is our they, have been, like I told you, have and been, the verbs or the helping verbs, and sleeping, the ing main verb. They have been sleeping since morning. Let us analyze the meaning over here. They have been sleeping since morning. Morning is obviously referring to past, and they have been sleeping, which says that it has, what I'm trying to say, that they started sleeping in the past since morning. Morning is obviously past, started sleeping in the past. It has come to now, but it doesn't say that they are up now. But it only says that they are started in the past, and have been sleeping means that they're still sleeping and they might sleep for another couple of hours, which means that the past and the present and the future are all three timelines are connected over here. They started sleeping in the morning, which is past. They've been sleeping still, even now, at the moment, while I am expressing this statement to you, they are still sleeping and they are not up yet. They are not up yet. They're not awake yet. They're still sleeping, and they possibly will continue sleeping for another few hours or another couple of hours. We do not know. So here, all the three timelines are connected. And that is why we refer to this as present, perfect, and continuous, because the action is in continuity still. Number 2, when we say, I have been teaching for 8 years, which means that I started teaching 8 years ago. I'm still teaching, and I will continue teaching in future as well. Nowhere does this statement say that I'm done teaching. It says, I started way back in the past, still teaching, and will continue teaching. And to say that, I say, I have been teaching for 8 years now, and I will still continue teaching. So that's it. You end up saying, I have been teaching for 8 years now. Next one is, we have been waiting for an hour. So when did we start waiting? An hour ago, in the past. Still waiting. We have been waiting, still waiting. The word waiting the ing verb says that you are still doing. It is in continuation. It doesn't say you are done. It says you are doing it still. Therefore, it refers to the continuation of the action in future as well. That means the action is in progress, still hasn't ended. Therefore, the past and the future, the present and the future are connected, which we call it as present perfect continuous. The next one with the subject you have been thinking about it unnecessarily. You've been thinking about it unnecessarily, which definitely means I started thinking way back in future. I'm still thinking about it. Probably I will continue thinking about it in future as well, because the word thinking says the action is still in continuation and not ended. So this is our present perfect continuous. So what are you going to do with, or when are you going to use the plus s form, or when the subjects are she, he, or it? What are we going to do? What type of verb are we going to use? Are we still going to use have, or are we going to bring in any other verb type is the question. The answer is, of course, you are going to bring in the plus s form over here, because it is present tense and the subject is she, he, and it, which is singular third person singular subjects. Because these are third person singular subject pronouns, you use the plus s verb. Remember, with third person singular, you also have third person subject as they, but this is not singular, this is plural. With plural, you use have or other plural verbs, but then with third person singular, you do not use have, but instead you use has. You use he, she has, he has, it has. So what did I say we use? The sentence structure of present perfect continuous is, it is not just the plus s verb, it is not just has alone, but you also use the word been. Has been. So she has been, he has been, it has been, and then you bring in the ing main verb, right? So let us say sleeping since morning. Since morning. She has been sleeping since morning. Obviously, the action started in the past. Still, the ing verb over here denotes that the action is still in continuation and it will go on in future as well. So she has been sleeping since morning. He has been working for hours. He has been working for hours. So when we say 4 hours, we say that the action started way back in the past. Working still says that he is still working. Next is, it has been causing issues for a while now. Let us say the it refers to a machine, and we are referring to a machine. It could be an oven, it could be a fridge or your blender, anything. So in a nutshell, we will say it. It has been causing issues for a while now, which means for a while means in the past, referring to the past, and causing says it is still doing it. It has not stopped, but then it is still doing. So it might continue in future for a while as well. So there you have the usage of she, he, and it, the third person singular subject usage, and our present perfect continuous tenses. Now let us move on to the usage of the negative forms. How do you convert these statements into negative? Well, all you do is bring in the negative word, which is not. Let me take the subjects, which are again I, you, we, and they. These subjects take plural verbs. That is the reason I have put them separately, and I have put the singular subjects separately. So with the subjects I, you, and we, and they, let us say I have not. You bring in the negative word. I have not. Similarly, you have not We have not. They have not. And then you got to bring in the ing verb. Let us say, I haven't. Sorry, we forgot about the word been. That is correct. We forgot about the word been. I have not been, you have not been, we have not been, they have not been. Then comes the ing verb, which here could be teaching. I have been teaching for 8 years. I have been teaching for 8 years. Started way back 8 years ago. Still teaching, will continue teaching in future as well. You have not been thinking. You have not been thinking clearly. Let's say, okay, clearly. You've not been thinking clearly. We have not been waiting for an hour. For an hour. We have not been waiting for an hour. That means probably somebody says that, have you been waiting for an hour? Then you say in response, no, we have not been waiting for an hour. Probably we're waiting more than that. We are waiting here for almost 2 hours now. In negation, you say not. In negation, you say not. They have not been sleeping since morning. They have not been sleeping since morning. So here we are negating the facts. We are not affirming, but then we are negating by saying, I have not been teaching for 8 years. I haven't been teaching for 8 years, but instead I have been teaching for almost a decade now, or 10 years now, or perhaps 2 or 3 years. It could be negating the fact. Whatever I said, it's only negating the fact. You have not been thinking clearly. The action is definitely happening. Thinking is definitely happening for a while now. To negate that, you have not been, we have introduced the word not, and we are saying you have not been thinking clearly. We have not been waiting for an hour. We are definitely waiting more than that or less than that. They have not been sleeping since morning, but then they have been sleeping from last night perhaps, right? Negating the point. To negate it, we bring in the word not. Now let us move on and see what are we going to do with the subjects she, he, and it. How do we negate the actions in this? Well, with she, what did I say? We use has, right? Therefore, she has, he has, it has. Then we say she has. To negate it, we bring in the negative word. She has not, he has not, it has not. And to mention this in present perfect continuous, we introduce the verb that is been, and then comes the ing verb, which is sleeping since morning. Similarly, here we say working long hours. And here let us use causing issues for a while. So what do these statements mean? She has not been sleeping since morning. Again, negating. She has not been sleeping since morning, but then she has been sleeping from last night. He has not been working long hours. Supposing somebody says he has been working for long hours now, then you negate it by saying, of course not, he has not been working for long hours. Then it has not been causing issues for a while. Again, negating. Somebody has affirmed something, stating it has been causing issues for a while now. Then you negate it by saying, of course not, it has not been causing issues for a while, but then less than that or more than that, with expressing with your opinion. So that is how you negate it, by using the negative words. And with the subject he, she, and it, you use has. That is your plus s verb. And to speak about present continuous tense, you use has, and negation, you use not, and been and ing verb. That's your third person singular usage. How about forming your yes or no questions? Questions, the ones which ask answers in response. So to frame or to form yes or no questions, we have to follow a structure. Well, before I share the formation of the question, yes or no questions, what is the meaning of yes or no questions? Yes or no questions mean when in reply you have the answers only as either yes or no. Let us see how we can do that. Let us see first what is the sentence structure that we can use. Let us go ahead with subjects I, you, we, and they. Well, with these subjects we use plural verbs, right? So to frame the question, that too especially yes or no questions, we bring in the be verb, the auxiliary first, that is, with this we use have. So have, and have. Have I? Now you bring in the word been. Have you been? Have we been? And have they been? Have I been? Have you been? Have we been? Have they been? Then you bring in the ing form of the main verb, which is have I been sleeping since morning? Questioning, right? Do not forget to put the question mark. Have I been sleeping since morning? Then for have you been, let us say, have you been thinking? Thinking about it still? Question mark. Have we been waiting for an hour now? An hour? Have they been teaching for 8 years? Question mark. Now let us analyze it. Have I been sleeping since morning? Questioning, asking for confirmation or asking for a response. You're not aware. You have been sleeping, but then you are not aware. So you are asking, have I been sleeping since morning? Oh my God, I'm not even aware of it. Is that even true? Well, answer is yes, you are. Of course not. You are not. Either yes or no. Then you say, have you been thinking about it still? You are asking your friend or whoever that is who had been thinking for a longer time. Then when they bring up the topic and you're like, oh, come on, have you been thinking about it still? Is the question that you pose. Have we been thinking for an hour? Have we been waiting? So you are waiting for someone or something, or a bus or flight or a train or whatever that is. The action that you're doing is waiting, and you have totally forgotten about the time that has gone by. And then you realize that it has been more than an hour or almost an hour. Then you're like, oh my God, have we been waiting for an hour? Is the question that comes out of your mouth. Then it is, have they been teaching for 8 years? Again, questioning about the action. Are they or have they been teaching for 8 years? So this is how you frame yes or no questions with the subjects I, you, we, and they. What about he, she, and it? How do you frame your questions? Let us first put the subjects he, she, and it. What did I say to frame yes or no questions? You first introduce the be verb or the auxiliary, and with he, she, and it, I told you to use the plus s verb, which is denoted by has. Therefore, has. And because we are speaking about present perfect continuous, we have to introduce been. He has been, has he been, has she been, has it been. So has he been sleeping since morning? Since morning. Similarly, has she been working for long hours? For long hours? Question mark. Has it been, let us say, causing? Has it been causing issues now? Question mark. Has he been sleeping since morning? Again, you're asking about somebody else. You probably saw the person sleeping in the morning and you came back, you went out and you come back now and you again see the person sleeping and you are in shock and you're like, has he been sleeping since morning? Is the question. Then next one is, has she been working for long hours? Then another question, another action asking, has she been working for long hours? Because you saw her working earlier as well, coming late home. Then you realize probably she is extending her working hours. Then you question, has she been working for long hours? Then you are like, next one, when your machine is causing issues, you're like, has it been causing issues? Has it been causing, as in the past, present, and future as well. Now let us move on to WH questions. How do you frame your WH questions? WH questions are words like what, why, where, when, who or whom, and you also have how and which. All these words are called as WH question words. WH words, questions, or WH question words. So how can we frame questions when it comes to WH words in present perfect continuous? Well, let us say why have, if the subjects are they or I or we and you. So then with this, remember, you first introduce the WH word and then the have word, then the subject, and then the word been, and next is your ing main verb. So let us say, why have they been sleeping since morning? Why have they been sleeping since morning? Or let us say, if you bring in the word who, again, because the subject is I, you bring in have. Who have I? Do not forget to introduce the word been. Who have I been teaching for 8 years? Asking yourself, who have I been teaching for 8 years? Then you have the subject we, therefore do not forget to put this have. And what type of question word can we bring in over here? Where have we been waiting for an hour? Where have we been waiting for an hour? The place you are referring to. Next is the subject you, therefore you bring in your have, and then you will have to bring in any question word, and here I'm going to put why. Why have you been, another ing verb, thinking, let us say, thinking about it, question mark. Why have you been thinking about it? So you can see we have used why, who, where, and why. Or you can also say here, instead of why, you can also bring in what. And you can ask the question like, what have you been thinking about? So referring to the actions which started way back in the past and still going on because of the introduction of the ing verb, which shows that, which tells us that the action is still going on. So this is how you frame your WH question words. Why have they been sleeping since morning? Who have I been teaching for 8 years? Where have we been waiting for an hour? Why have you been thinking about it? Or what have you been thinking about it? So what do we do with third person singular subjects, which are he, she, and it? Well, I told you to use the plus s verb, right? So the plus s verb is has, and has, and then you use been. We need to bring in a question word. Let us say I use why. Why has he been sleeping, let us say, so long? Why has he been sleeping so long? Or let us say if I use again, why has she been working long hours? Long hours. Do not forget to put the question mark. Here, let us introduce a word since, and then let us use the word when. Since when has it been causing issues for a machine? You were asking when, therefore we introduce another word to make it meaningful. Since when has it been causing issues? Well, this is how we frame questions or WH questions in present perfect continuous with third person singular subjects. According to your usage, according to your reference, you can change the WH words and the structure of the statement depending upon what you are trying to say or what you're trying to ask. Now let us move on to the usage of present perfect continuous. Where do we use these present perfect continuous? Well, let us begin with the first one, which is we use the present perfect continuous to show that something started in the past and has continued up until now. It shows the durations, which is expressed with for or since. Well, this means that it started way back in the past. We use to refer to the actions which started way back in the past, still going on, and it will still go on in future as well. And we express the duration with the usage of for or since. Well, for shows the duration, whereas since shows the point of time, as in when exactly the action started. Keep this in your mind because we will be using these words in our examples now. Examples, let us say I take the example of I have. When we use the subject I, we use have. And because we are talking about present perfect continuous, we use I have been and then ing. Verb I have been teaching for a decade. For a decade. So, full stop. I have been teaching for a decade. Let me give you the other examples. That is you. Of course, you're going to use the same be verbs because you are using the subject you. You have been talking since I left. Full stop. Let us take with example with we. We have been waiting for the vaccine since the lockdown. And with the subject they have been driving around for over an hour. All right, let us analyze these examples now. I have been teaching for a decade. Let us first see if we have used the right structure. Subject, have been, and then ing, main verb. Yes, of course we have. So there you have the correct format or the structure of the statement. Now let us see if it holds correct for the usage. What does the usage say? We use the present perfect continuous to show that something started in the past and has continued up until now. It shows the durations which is expressed with the help of for and since. Well, now let us take the first statement, which is I have been teaching for a decade, which means the teaching started way back a decade ago. Decade means 10 years. So way back. So here I'm not telling you when exactly I started. It doesn't say when exactly the action the action of teaching started, but then it shows the duration, as in this long, as in from this particular time, the time duration. So it's been 10 years. 10 years. For a decade, usage of you start with for a decade. I have been teaching for a decade. Similarly, you have been talking since I left. Now here, when you take the word since I left, let us say you left in the morning, somewhere around 9 a.m. So that's the point that the action started. And from then on until this present moment, she has been, or sorry, you have been, the person has been talking. So this says since, again showing the time duration, but telling when specifically it started. Next, we have been waiting for the vaccine since the lockdown. Well, lockdown started way back in March, and for the vaccine since, here not for but then since, it started in March, so we are referring to March over here. That's when exactly the wait for the vaccine started, because when we were all put inside our own houses, we started desperately waiting for the vaccine since the lockdown started, which happened in March, and now it is almost the end of October. Therefore it's been a long wait. So when did it actually start? The exact point is in March. So the word since shows that. Next is they have been driving around for over an hour. How long? Over an hour, showing the duration, but not telling when it exactly started, or not the particular point of time when it actually started, but then it says the whole duration for an entire hour. They have been driving around for over an hour. Let us see how do we use with the subjects he, she, and it. She, he, and let us take okay, India. All right. Now, because we are using she, he, and India, which are third person singular subjects, third person singular subjects, let us use the plus verb, which is she has, he has, India has. Because this is present perfect continuous, we are going to use been as well. She has been, so she has been, let us say the ing verb, teaching for a decade, or it has been, he has been talking since I left, or India has been waiting for the vaccine since lockdown, or since March. Okay, so now let us see the usage. She has been teaching for a decade, for duration. He has been talking since I left, point of time. India has been waiting for the vaccine since March, point of time. So this is how you use the usage of she, when you have she, he, and India, which is again third person singular. Here we have used noun instead of pronoun. So has been is what we use. We use plus s verb. Now let us see how to frame the negatives when it comes to these this usage. Let us begin with the subject I, you, we, and they. So I, to negate it, what did I say? All you do is introduce the negative word, right? I have been, I have not been, or you have not been, we have not been, or they have not been. Now you got to bring in your ing verb. It could be teaching for a decade. All right, I have not been teaching for a decade. I'm teaching more than that. I started way back, or less than that, maybe 8 years. Not for a decade, but for 8 years. You have not been talking since I left. What's wrong? You haven't been talking since I left. Is everything all right with you? You are totally quiet. What happened? We have not been waiting for the vaccine for a month now. For a month. They have not been driving around for over an hour. We are negating the facts over here. I have not been teaching for a decade, but then I have been teaching for 8 years now. You have not been talking since I left. What happened? You are totally quiet. We have not been waiting for the vaccine for a month now. We are so tired of the wait that we stopped waiting altogether. They have not been driving around for over an hour, but then they are driving around for more than an hour. Now here we are negating by using the word not, and because the subjects are I, you, we, and they, we have used have not been. And with subjects, with subjects he, she, and it, we gotta, let us say, we gotta change. Supposing if you have she or he, or India, let us say India, or let us say here she again. So the verb over here changes from have to has. She has not been, he has not been, India has not been, she has not been. She has not been teaching for a decade, but then she's teaching for 8 years. She has not been talking since I left. India has not been waiting for the vaccine for a month. She has not been driving around for over an hour. Here, negating the facts, and with the subjects she, he, and third person singular, you use plus s verbs. That's the factor that you have to keep in mind. What about yes or no questions? How do you frame yes or no questions? Well, with remember, what did I tell you? Yes or no questions are those questions which demand either yes or no in answer. And to frame these questions, you begin the questions with the auxiliary. So the auxiliary that we use with present perfect continuous is either have or has, right? With subjects I, we, you, and they, we use have. We use have, and what do we use? We also use been with present perfect continuous. So been, and then we introduce the ing verb, which is have I been teaching for a decade? Asking yourself, have I been teaching for a decade? Or have we been waiting for the vaccine since lockdown or since March? Then have you been talking since I left? Question mark. Have they been driving around for over an hour now? Questioning. You are questioning these facts. Have I been teaching for a decade? Have we been waiting for the vaccine since lockdown? Have you been talking since I left? Have they been driving around for over an hour? You are asking for the confirmation of the fact. Because the subject is I, we, you, and they, you have used have. Supposing if the subjects had been he, she, or it would have changed. Supposing if have, no, let us take India here, or it could also be it. And here let us take he, and let us take she. And because the subjects are third person singular, you do not use have, but you use has. Has, and has. Has she been teaching for a decade? Has India been waiting for the vaccine since lockdown? Has he been talking since I left? Has she been driving around for over an hour? So that is how you frame your yes or no questions with different types of subjects. Now let us move on to WH questions. WH question words are what, why, when, where, who, whom, which, and also how. All these are your WH questions. Now with subjects I, we, you, and they, you obviously use have, right? Have. And with present perfect continuous, you obviously use been. I have been. I have been. But what type of question word would you use depending upon the kind of usage that you are going to use? Let us say I use where have I been teaching? For a decade. Where have I been teaching for a decade? Or here I can use who have okay, one second. Not who, why. Let us take why. Why have we been waiting for the vaccine since March or lockdown? Question mark. Next is, let us use the word who. Who have you been talking to since I left? Who have you been talking to since I left? Why have they been driving around for over an hour? Here, when you use the WH word, you don't expect the answer as yes or no, but then you expect an explanation, a detailed clarity on the answers. Where demands the place, reference of place. Where have I been teaching for a decade? I need a name of a place. Why have we been waiting for the vaccine since March? What is the reason behind that we are waiting for that long? Who have you been talking to since I left? I need the name of a person that you are talking to for that long. Why have they been driving around for over an hour? Is there a reason that they are just driving around in circles for over an hour, that too? I need an explanation behind. With the subjects he, she, and it, all you do is change the verb. All you do is change the subject. When you use has and she, and let us say India. Sorry, let us first mention the verb and then India, and verb, let us say he, and let us say she. So with third person singular subjects, you change the verb into plus s, whereas the reference and the meaning still holds the same, but with a different person. That's it. So where has she been teaching for a decade? Why has India been waiting for the vaccine since March? Why has he been talking to, sorry, who has he been talking to since I left? Why has she been driving around for over an hour? Same thing. Now let us move on to the second usage, which is you can also use present perfect continuous without a duration. It's not necessarily, you don't really have to use it only for the duration, but you can also use it without the mention of the duration, like this, where without the duration, the tense has a more general meaning of lately or recently. We often use the words lately or recently to emphasize this meaning. We try to say that some action actually started recently, not way back in the past, or not for a longer period of duration, but only recently for probably a few hours or a few days ago. Lately. For that, we use two words which are lately and recently. Well, let us begin with subjects I, we, you, and they. What is the sentence structure that we are going to use? Because we are using have, we are going to say have. We are going to use have. And what are we going to use in present perfect? Definitely been. We have been You have been, they have been. So the usage, I have been thinking about moving lately. I'll come back to the explanation in a while. Let me finish writing these. We have been eating a lot of home-cooked meals. Obviously, recently or lately. You have been helping. Sorry, not, yeah. You've been helping us lately. Or you can also use the word recently. They have been talking too much about politics. Quite full stop. So the subject here is I, we, you, and they. That's why we have used have been, and the ing verb. Let us analyze if the definition that I gave holds correct. I have been thinking about moving lately. What did I say? The definition, the second usage is when we refer to the actions that we've been doing only recently and not way back in the future, in the past. It did not start too way back in the past, but then just started recently, like maybe a day or two or a week or so. For that, we use the words lately or recently. So I have been thinking about moving lately, maybe moving from one place to another place or another house. We have been eating, well, when I say lately, I'm not referring to it for a very long time, but then I started it only recently for about, let us say, a month or so. So here, that's about only recently, not way back. We've been eating a lot of home-cooked meals. This is a reference to the present situation. All those people who were not in a habit of cooking foods, all those working people, all those busy people who had been eating all their meals from Swiggy and Zomato. Now, because of the lockdown, because of not taking the risk of inviting corona inside, the virus inside, a lot of people, that is, we have been eating a lot of home cooked meals recently. Now, this recently is not referred to way back, but then, of course, yes, it did start in the month of March. Definitely, we are referring to as recently, comparing as opposed to all those years ahead. Well, let us say from past almost 10-15 years, you were in a habit of eating outdoor food or food from outside. And now all of a sudden, because of the lockdown, you switched to home cooked meals. And to say that, we've been eating a lot of home cooked meals lately or recently. You have been helping us lately. So the helping did not start way back, or it did not happen all the time. It only started lately or recently. We've been talking too much about politics recently or lately. Earlier, they were not actually talking about this topic, but then off late or lately, they have been talking too much about politics. So that's how you use it with I. What about the subjects she? If you have a subject, she, he, or it, the verb changes along with the change of the subject. So with she, we use she has been, or let us say he has been, or here, okay, let us take it has been. Let us say she. So with the change of the subject, when we use she, he, it, then we use plus s verb, which is has. So she has been thinking about moving lately. He has been eating a lot of home-cooked meals. It has been helping us lately. Maybe some kind of action that we changed. Therefore, it has been helped us lately. She has been talking too much about politics. So the same, referring to the subject type. The moment you change the subject, the verb also changes. Now let us move on to the negatives. How to frame the negatives when we are using this kind of usage. With the subjects I, you, we, you, and they, Let us see. Well, definitely have is what we use, right? Have. To negate the point, we introduce the word not. Then we bring in the ing verb. Let us say, I have not been thinking about moving lately. I'll come back to the meaning after I have finished writing this thing. We have not been, okay, I forgot about been here. Okay, it has to be been. I have not been thinking about, okay, I have been eating home-cooked meals lately or recently. You have not been, or you have not been, okay, been helping us lately. They have not been talking about politics lately. Full stop. I have not been thinking about moving lately, which means that we are negating the point, which also means that I had been talking about moving a lot from a very long time, and only recently or only lately I have stopped talking about that, and I have not been thinking about, I have stopped thinking about that. I have not been thinking about moving recently, but then otherwise that was the only thought on my mind. We have not been eating home-cooked meals recently. We've been ordering from outside. You have not been helping us lately. You had been helping us from a very long time, but then only recently you have stopped it. You have not been helping us at all or lately. They have not been talking about politics. They were always discussing about politics, if I remember well, but then lately they have not been talking about politics at all. So with the subjects I, this is the kind of sentence structure that you follow to negate the points. With the subjects he, she, and it, we use plus s verb, which is, let us say, she has not been thinking about moving lately, and let us say, okay, he has not been eating home-cooked meals. Let us say it has not been helping us lately. And you can also use she or he, and as she has not been talking about politics lately, he has not been talking about politics lately. So that is how you negate the points with the subjects she, he, it, and she with plus s verbs. Also with the introduction of not, let's not forget that to negate the points. How about the yes or no questions? Well, for yes or no questions, I told you that you begin with the auxiliary, and the auxiliary that we are going to use with I, we, you, and they is have. And to frame the question, we bring the be verb first, and here we have done that. Then to show the continuity, we introduce the word been with the right type of ing verb. So what are we going to use? Have I been thinking? Have I been thinking about moving a lot lately? Question mark. Have we been eating a lot of home-cooked meals? Question mark. Have you been talking too much about politics? And have they been helping us recently or lately? Question mark. You can also use not. Haven't I been thinking about moving a lot lately? Haven't can be contracted into haven't. Haven't, and similarly, you can use haven't. Haven't we been eating a lot of home-cooked meals? Haven't you been talking too much about politics? Haven't they been helping us recently? So to negate it, you can introduce not, or you can not keep that away, no problem at all. You can use it without it as well. Have I been thinking about moving a lot lately? Questioning, asking yes or no, either yes or no. Have I been thinking about moving a lot lately? Have we been eating a lot of home-cooked meals? Have you been talking too much about politics? Have they been helping us recently, or haven't they? Bringing according to your usage, you can also say haven't as well. So with the subject I, we, you, and they, this is a sentence structure that you follow. But with the subjects he, she, or it, you use plus s verbs, which is here has she, or has he, or has she, and has it. So the same words, the same usages. Has she been thinking about moving a lot lately? Has he been eating a lot of home-cooked meals? Has she been talking too much about politics? Has it been helping us recently? Or if you want to negate it, you can definitely say hasn't she, hasn't he, or hasn't it been helping us recently? So that's the usage that you use with the change of the subjects to negate or to ask questions, yes or no questions. Now let us move on to WH questions, which are why, what, where, who, whom, or which, also how. All these words with subjects I, we, you, and they, we use have. So we will begin with I, we, you, and they. And we will bring the be verb first, the auxiliary first. But let us not forget we have to introduce the question with a WH word. So let us bring the word why here. Why have I been thinking about moving lately? Similarly, you can say, why have we been eating a lot of homemade or home cooked meals? Full stop. You can also say what for. Let us say use the word what for have you been talking? Have you been talking so much about politics? About politics. What for have you been talking so much about politics? Or you can also say, what have they been helping us for lately? Asking questions. So these are our WH, why, or what for, or also what here. With the subjects I, we, you, and they, you use have. And that's how you question. Why have I been thinking about moving lately? Why am I thinking about it at all? Is there a reason? If there is, then what's the reason? Why have we been eating a lot of home-cooked meals these days or recently? What for have you been talking so much about politics? Is there a reason behind? Are you planning to join politics or something? Is that why? What for? What have they been helping us for lately? Is there a reason? I mean, like, what for? What is the reason? Or what is it that they are exactly helping us for? So what have they been helping us for lately? That is how you use with subjects I, and with third person singular subjects, we use the plus s verb, don't we? That is, why has she been, or why has he been, or what for has she been, or what has it been. The moment you switch the subject, the verb also gets switched to plus S verb. Why has she been talking about moving lately? Why has he been eating a lot of home-cooked meals? What for has she been talking so much about politics? What has it been helping us for lately? So these are our WH questions. Now let us go to the third usage, which is used to talk about the action that started in the past and stopped recently. There is usually a result now. Well, this is very interesting because usually present perfect continuous is used for the continuity of the action, but then we are referring to the action which stopped a little while ago, but the effect is kind of showing right now. What could that be? Let us take a look at these explanations or these examples. That would be, let us say, I passed the test. Okay, I passed the test because I have been studying hard. Full stop. I passed the test because I have been studying hard. Full stop. Now this is the result. I passed the test. Why or how come or what made you pass the test? The action that refers to is because I have been studying hard. I have been studying hard, but because of that, I passed. Now, this is the result. This is the result, and this is the action that I had been doing from a very long time. And because of that, and it has stopped now. At the moment while I'm saying this thing, the action is not happening because the exam is also done. The results have come out. The action of studying has stopped. Well, only recently, before the exams, the result has come out now. The effect is connected. Because of this action, the result, the present is connected as well. To express this, even though the action has stopped in past, a little while ago or recently, we still use present perfect continuous. The second example would be, you got that because. Now this is the result. And what was the action that recently stopped? Because you have been listening to me. Now here, you got that means you have understood. You have understood that because you've been listening to me. I was explaining to you the explanation. I was explaining you the tenses in a very detailed way, and you understood that, or you got that clearly because you have been listening to me. You have been listening to me continuously, and after having heard me clearly, after having listened to me clearly, now you have understood that. So this is the result. This is the result, and this is the action which actually stopped very recently. The next one is, we have been calling her continuously. But there has been no response. We have been calling her continuously, but there has been no response. So the action, we have been calling her continuously, might have stopped only recently. We have been calling her continuously, but the result is no response. This is the result. Next one is, let us say, I couldn't sleep last night. Why couldn't I sleep last night? Because they have been playing, they have been playing the music too loud. They have been playing the music too loud. When was this? It was actually last night, right? That's why I couldn't sleep last night. So the action now has actually stopped. Now it's not playing. Now it is morning. Now it is probably afternoon. But now the action is not happening. But still, to mention that, we have used this usage. How are you going to do, what are you going to do the sentence structure with pluses, with subjects he, she, and it? Let us see how we can use it with that. Let me erase all this first so that I can clearly write it for you. Just give me one moment. What do we do with plus s? When do we use plus s verbs? We use plus s verbs when we have the subjects as, when we have singular subjects. And what are the singular subjects that we have over here? These are pronouns that we have here, and the pronouns are he, she, and it. So how do we use it with that? Let me write. She passed the test because she passed the test. This is your result of the action, and the action is because she has been studying hard. She has been studying hard. She has been, the plus is verb. She passed the test because she has been studying hard. So that's the result, and this is the action that recently stopped. Next one is he got that, or understood that he got that because he has been listening to me clearly. That is why he has paid attention. That's the reason he has understood. That's the reason he got that clearly, because he has been listening. It is cold suddenly. It is cold suddenly. I think it has been raining. The raining actually is not happening at the moment. It just probably stopped a little while ago and suddenly it is cold now. To say that, we use it has been raining. So that's how we use this usage to mention about the actions which recently stopped and the result is still persistent in the present. How do we negate these points? Well, I failed, let me say, with the subjects I, you, we, and they. We can use I failed the test because I haven't, let us use the let me clear it. I have not been studying hard. Negating the point. I failed the test because I have not been studying hard. Next one is you didn't get that. Why? Because you have not, or you haven't been paying attention. You haven't been paying attention. The next one is we have not been talking. We have not been talking to them for months. Now, because we are clueless about that, because we are clueless about their whereabouts. About their whereabouts. We have not been talking to them for months now because we are clueless about their whereabouts. Have not been. Negative, negating the point. with the subject they. Let us say, I could sleep well last night. Why? Because they haven't or have not been playing the music loud. Music loud. So that's how you negate it. I have not been studying hard, you have not been paying attention, or you've not been listening. Or you can also say we have not been talking, or they have not been playing the music. That's how you negate it. And for he, she, and it, you can say, let us say, she failed the test because she has not been studying hard. He didn't get that because he has not been paying attention. Here, let us say, okay, we'll say he has not been talking to them for months because he is clueless about their whereabouts. Or you can also say, for the word, he could sleep because he has not been playing the music. So that's how the moment you switch the subject to she, he, the verb also changes to plus s, and that's how you negate the points. Now let us move on to question words. How do you frame yes or no questions? Yes or no questions are those which demand answers, and how do you frame them with subjects I, we, you, and they? Well, let us not forget we bring the be verb first, and the be verb here, or the auxiliary here, is have and been. So been. So have I been studying hard? Because I seem to have passed the test. The result is now I seem to have passed the test. So have I been studying hard then? Well, yes, I suppose that's the reason I have passed the test. Have we been calling her continuously? Have we been calling her continuously? Because she looks annoyed about the fact now. Have we been disturbing her too much? Because she looks annoyed now. Have you been listening to me? Or haven't you? Let us say, haven't you? Haven't you been listening to me? Because your answers are all wrong. It looks like you haven't paid attention at all. Haven't you been listening to me at all? What I've been telling you from past 1 hour? That's how you express it. Next is, have they been playing the music all night? Because I was not able to sleep properly at all. Have they been playing the music all night? Because I did not sleep well at all. That's how you that's how you frame the questions, yes or no questions, with subjects I, we, and haven't you. What about the subjects he, she, and they? Well, the be verb is has. So you will say, has she been? Or has he been? Or let us say, has he and has she. So that's how you frame with he and she. The moment you get the singular subjects, you change it into plus s in present tense. Remember, in present tense alone, it is not applicable. This rule of plus s verb is not applicable in other tenses. It only is applicable for present tense alone. So has she been studying hard because she seems to have passed her test? Has he been calling her continuously because she seems to be annoyed? Has he been listening to me at all because he has all his answers wrong? I think he has never paid attention at all. Has she been playing the music all night because I couldn't sleep well at all? Now let us move on to WH questions. How do you frame the WH questions when it comes to I, we, you, and they. Why have I been studying so hard? Why have I been studying so hard? Well, obviously because I wanted to pass. That's the reason I have been studying so hard, right? Let us say here we will bring in have, and then been. Why have we been calling her so much? Looks like we annoyed her. Looks like we have annoyed her. What? Okay. Who have you been playing that music all night for? Because of that music, I couldn't sleep at all. Now here, we can say, why have they been studying so hard? The answer is to pass the examination. So the structure that we use over here is we use WH words like why, who, why. There are other words as well like what, where. Depending upon your usage, you can switch it. So why have I been studying so hard? That's because I wanted to pass. Why have I been calling her so much? She seems to be annoyed. The result. Who have you been playing that music all night for? I was unable to sleep because of that music. Why have they been studying so hard? Because they wanted to pass. With the subjects he, she, and it, the verb changes into plus s. The verb changes into plus s, which is has. Has he been studying so hard? Why has he been studying so hard? Why has she been calling her so much? Who has he been playing the music all night for? Why has she been studying so hard, or he? So that is how you frame your questions with this usage. Well, that is all for today. Another lengthy video. Well, thank you very much for watching. It is important that I do take you through all the structures for your clarity. Well, do leave your comments below. Do not forget to subscribe and do not forget to hit that bell icon. Most importantly, do not forget to use that code TA01 to avail that 10% of extra discount. Let us crack CBSE 9th and 10th examinations with Unacademy. Do join our Telegram group for the latest updates as well on our upcoming videos. Until then, have a good time. Thank you very much.